It still says preview. Oh, here we go. We're live. Hi, everybody. I'm a little bit early, but I like to try to get all of this going before I'm supposed to start, just in case there's any technical difficulty. So, hello, welcome. Every Tuesday, we get together here now on YouTube, which is the new part. We get together live on Tuesdays at 1 o'clock Pacific time to do an oracle reading and then also to do a witchcraft Q&A where we talk about all things witchcraft, whatever it is that you're inspired to ask about. I answer as many questions as I can. And I'm Elena of the Witch's Box and owner of this channel. So, hey, Angela, hello. Welcome. We're a little bit early, but not by a whole lot. So if we're here and, we're waiting for people, let me know how you're doing, how your week has been, um, and what the weather is like where you are. Because right now, I think I mentioned this last, when did I mention this? I think it was on Friday when we do our live guided meditation. I mentioned it there where it is beautiful. It is super, super bright and blue. The sun is out, but I think it's like 40 degrees outside. 40 degrees. So, last time we were here, I think that at 45 minutes, my camera totally overheated and you can still hear me, but the screen had gone black and I had the heater on at 80 because I'm a little bit of an exaggerator and I was freezing. I don't have my heater on today just to make sure that that doesn't happen. But it may happen anyway, so bear with me. It didn't happen at all with our live guided meditation, and I didn't have the heater on then either. So I think that that might be the trick to doing the thing that I got to do. Hold on one second. I need to have a little something to fidget with. I'm a fidgeter. All right. Hello, Angela. I said hello already. Carolyn, hello. The Wayward Fae. I love that. Love your curly hair and tuft of wisdom. Thank you so much. Yeah, look. This is now so the last time that I dyed my hair was August 8th. So we're a little bit over 2 months in, and that's the growth. I'm excited. It's actually I had more moments of nervousness, I think, in the very beginning, like the first month and a half, but now I'm just dying for it to happen. So also, I mentioned this a long time ago on the Tuesday lives, but the ones that we were having on Instagram, we moved them now here. But I mentioned that I'm doing like a vlog documenting the whole journey, and those videos, I was going to do it on Instagram live on my personal channel, but I decided I'm not going to do that because again, lives on Instagram are just not my scene anymore. So on my personal YouTube account, which has absolutely zero going on it right now, I'm going to be doing the vlogs for the hair. When that gets totally launched, I'll announce it. But I decided that, yeah, it'd be kind of cool to document the whole journey. And a lot of things are coming up around having white hair. People really have a lot of struggle, a lot of struggle with women who grow out their gray hair. We will be talking about that, at least on that channel. All right. So thank you, Angela. Jacqueline says hello. Hi, Jacqueline. And for Carolyn, it's sunny and beautiful. Yeah, it's really sunny and beautiful. Cold. And what is going on? Oh, my cursor was hovering over your words. Cold and rainy in England. Oh my goodness. Rainy in England though can be pretty magical, yeah? Lissum says having an amazing vacation. Oh, congratulations, a vacation. That's wonderful. Sunday and 58 degrees, Laurenburg. Wow, that sounds kind of perfect, right? It's a little bit warmer than here, but I think that it's like perfect weather, like 55. There's a chill, it's crisp but sunny. That's beautiful. But then I also love super rainy days. Christina Flores says, Elena, loving the new hair. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Christina. Terry, I embraced my gray last year. It took almost a year. For you to embrace it or for it to grow out, Terry? Inquiring minds want to know. Hi, Kathleen. Welcome. All right, where's my water? Let me get my life in order really quickly. So for those of you who have never joined our Tuesday lives before, they used to be on Instagram, but we moved them over last week to YouTube because Instagram and the trolling was just becoming a pain in the ass. And so no more of that. We're going to be doing that here. And so what we do is we get together every Tuesday live where I'll do an oracle reading for the week. And then we can hang out for a while talking about all things witchcraft, whatever questions come up. Hold on, let me drink. Mm. Hello, Nicolette. Hi, Margaret. Welcome, welcome. So we have been doing oracle readings from this deck because it's the season. I don't know if you can see it. If I hide. Oh, there it is. Seasons of the Witch, a Samhain Oracle by Lorraine Anderson, Juliet Diaz, and illustrated by Giada Rose. So we're going to be reading from this deck probably through the first week of November because I'm obsessed. And then because they launched they just published and dropped their latest deck, and it's all about Yule. After we like stop using this deck, we're going to be using their Yule deck. The art is beautiful. I can't say enough about this. I'm going to have to start posting links to how to get this, but you can get it like on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It's just such a oh, I don't know how to make it focus faster, but anyway, you can see the beautiful edging that I'm obsessed with. The imagery. This is a card that I've actually personally been working with. There we go. It's not the card for today, but this is the one that I've been working with. But it's just, they're so beautiful. How do I hide? There we go. I'm going to do a few more. Aren't they beautiful? I know I've got a lot of glare. I've got a window, I've got lights, it's a whole thing. So let me shuffle really quickly, and then we'll do our reading, and then we'll go from there. Let me see what else is going on. Jamie loves the deck. Yeah, it's such a beautiful deck. Hello, Mimsy. Hello, good afternoon. So Terry says both. Had a box of dye on standby. I mean, it's so easy, right, to have a box of dye and just do it again. I don't think I'm going to. We'll see. I mean, you know, I've said this before. I love contrast, but there's something super liberating about just letting it go and going natural. I'm really excited about it. So thank you for the compliments. Okay, Kay Justice says, hi Elena, no wonder I couldn't find you last week. Yeah, we so every Tuesday on Instagram we're posting an announcement that says it's happening. It's just not going to happen there. It's happening on YouTube. So we'll keep posting like a little announcement the day of on Instagram, so that those of you who haven't heard the announcement or anyone who wants to join and hasn't joined before can just come on over to YouTube. It's just cleaner, easier. I was just so burnt out on the onslaught of trolls that would just kind of come in. Like it was like a wave that would suddenly come in, and it was just so distracting. And you would all inevitably watch me inside. I'd be silent while I scrolled and, you know, scrolled and blocked. It's like, do you want to watch me be silent doing that? No. We have many other better things to be doing, especially connecting with each other and not doing that. So what I found gratefully is that YouTube doesn't seem, at least we don't seem to have, I'm going to knock on wood, that trouble here on YouTube. We've been doing lives with the guided meditations on Friday, and this is not an accurate number. This is me trying to guesstimate about 4, maybe 5 months that we've been doing those lives every week. And in that time, maybe there was one person that they were kind of trollish. It wasn't even that big a deal. But out of all of those lives in all of those months, just one person is kind of an amazing stat. So we moved the whole thing over here. All right, let me see what's happening. Yeah, Margaret, I love getting older. I just turned 50 last week. I love it. It is the best year of my life so far in so many ways. And that's not to say that there aren't issues. There are some issues that I'm working through. I had a really hard month, as many of you know, in September. I lost my mom. Things that happen, right? But there's something about, I don't know. I feel like I'm just getting started, but I also feel freer in my skin than I've ever felt in my life. Aging has been pretty badass, I have to say. I'm really into it. Now, in 10, 20, or 30 years, we'll see what I'll be saying. But for right now, I'm loving it. 50 rocks. Hello, Catherine. Yeah, thank you, Nicoletta. Yeah, and by the way, I love your name, Nicoletta. That's beautiful. It feels more convenient. There's a little bit more tech that I have to manage, but I like it better. I just do. Okay, so let me just go quiet for a second. Let me keep I think that I'm going to go back to shuffling before I go live so that you don't have to hear all this noise. Because it's loud. I know it's loud. Thank you, Christina. Yeah, it was last Friday. It was quite wonderful. Okay. This is our card. See if I can. Healer, number 22. It's a beautiful card. I am not going to read this just because I don't know. It's the one thing about this deck that I don't jive with at all. They never seem to kind of resonate. So let's just look at this card. There we go. And then let me ask the question that came up, which is two things. Do you consider yourself a healer? Number one. And the second thing that came up very quickly is, what is it specifically that you would like to or are working on healing in your life right now? So those are the two questions that are going to kind of hover over what is coming. There is a world in which some people are of the opinion that all witches in one form or another are healers because they necessarily, by virtue of being a witch, regardless of tradition and method, connect to the unseen. And so much of the world is in an unconscious dance of reaction with the unseen because they're not aware that the unseen is there. They don't believe in the unseen, or they have an adversarial relationship with the unseen. So they're not connecting to the elements. They're not connecting to the ancestors. They don't connect to the spirits of land. They don't connect with the energy streams in a conscious, intentioned way, but witches do. And because it's a craft, right? Witchcraft, we tend to, over the course of our journey as witches, practice our craft of connection. Whether it's magic, chaos magic, if you're Wiccan, if you just work with your ancestors, if you're shamanic, regardless of the tradition and the belief system, we are in a constant act of practicing how well we can connect into the unseen, to not only dance with it in a way that's honoring and in gratitude, but also to use it, to shape it and influence it in order to create new realities in the world and in our lives. And there is a world in which that behavior, that relationship, that relationality that we have with the unseen is incredibly healing, because there's a whole existence in the world right now that is very I think drained and taxed by the amount of unconscious connection and reaction that happens from people that are not aware of the unseen energy world that's out there. When we connect with intention, when we connect with honoring, when we connect and we acknowledge that there is so much more to this existence and to this world than just you and what you see and what you can touch, there is that nourishment and that empowering that happens, because where you direct your attention is where you lay power, where you enhance power, where you give power. And so it's interesting because I can say a whole lot of things about healing when it comes to the body, when it comes to herbs, when it comes to our health. But what came up here is the healing that we as witches collectively feed by just practicing our craft and connecting with the world of the unseen. There is something about that that calibrates all of existence, even when those who don't know about the unseen and working with energy in this way, even when they don't know what's going on, we are still helping calibrate even them. We're calibrating the world when we engage in this way, when we engage with all of wholeness, all of existence, both seen and unseen. So boom, I don't even know where, but that's what came up. And so then the follow-up to that, why doesn't it? There we go. The follow-up to that then is, how are you specifically going to continue to empower this kind of calibration in the world by working with energy. How are you going to be an empowered and an intentioned impactor, a healer in the world by connecting with energy consciously? Like, how do you do that? How do you work with the seen and the unseen together? How do you create magic in the world? Do you work with ancestors? Do you work with spirits of the land? How are you engaging and acknowledging the very real reality beyond the veil in a way that's honoring and a way that's conscious, so that that healing can continue? So boom, that is the big question of the week. For those of you just getting on here and you missed the beginning of it, you can watch this on the replay so that you can get the oracle reading, but that's it. And then too, excuse me, healing is a huge topic, and healing is a huge what is the right word? Wisdom stream of witchcraft all on its own. So I just barely touched on a small thing and gave some questions, but we can also talk a lot about what healing is in terms of our personal lives and our personal practices. But that is the oracle reading for the day, and now we can open it up to whatever Q&A you have. Let's talk. Okay, and then for this, I'm gonna need glasses. So my cute glasses haven't arrived yet, and the ones that I got are anti-reflection, but these, as you can see the outside, you can see like my camera. So I'm sorry about the reflection, but in order for me to read and not get confused, I'm gonna put them on. Okay. Oh, thank you, Kathleen. Thank you. And my condolences to you as well. Carolyn says your hair is beautiful. Sorry to hear about your mom. Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, life changes can be very empowering. Even losses like that can be very empowering. It's been a big month. It's been a lot of layers in the grief. Christina says, I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you. Jamie, hope you had a fun time on your anniversary date, on your birthday. Oh, Jamie, I love that you guys all keep track of all this. What did we do? We went to the restaurant that we got married at here in Idlewild, because our friend owns this restaurant, and when we got married, they had just finished kind of building it and putting it together before they opened, and so we squeezed in there before they opened. We got married, and it's still our favorite place. So we went there for dinner, and we had dessert, and we got to chat with the servers there because we know them all, and the chef, and so it was pretty chill, but it was nice because it's nice when we just kind of sit across from each other and engage each other, and it's casual and it's like pleasurable because it's all food. And not sit across from each other and talk about work. So it was good, but it was pretty low key. But it was fun. It was fun. Mimsy says, definitely a healer in many ways, many layers. Even when I didn't know that was what I was doing. Yes. Carolyn says, well spoken. This is the unseen. Wait, this is a unseen world is there. As a cute palliative nurse, the unseen and seen is always there. Oh, I'm sure you must see it in so many ways. Thank you for sharing that, Carolyn. Kay says, so sorry for your loss. May your mother rest in peace. Thank you. Mimsy says, there was a study done that a group meditation lowered the crime rate in that area for several hours. So what you do has ripples. Yes, I read about, there have been quite a few, mass like meditation sit-ins where people get together in mass and either meditate together in the same space for peace, for less crime, for healing in the world, or there have also been, and I haven't seen them around actually on Facebook in a while, but every once in a while you get like an announcement on social media that people are at a specific time and a specific date meditating all over the planet for a very specific intention. I mean, it's a spell. It's also when we all resonate with each other on this very specific frequency, the rest of the world begins to resonate with us, and it shifts the energy powerfully. I mean, if that doesn't speak to energy and the unseen, I don't know what does. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. I know, I don't know why I can't. Okay. Kathleen says, I've actually been on the path to go back to school for nursing. Beautiful. Good luck with that. Congratulations. Jennifer says, as a clinical mental health therapist, healing is my business, but I don't heal others. I teach them how to heal themselves. The craft is my own personal source of healing. Beautiful. Yeah, we need more of that. We need more people who are facilitators in the learning as opposed to the doing. It's one of the reasons why I mean, you can imagine we get requests all the time for, can you do a spell for me? And it's like, I'm not going to do a spell for you. I'll give you all sorts of tools for you to do your own spell work. And then I can talk you through maybe iterating a little bit. We can riff, but we need to learn how to do these things ourselves. And mentorship and teachers are there to give you those skills so that then you can take them, you can practice them, and then empower yourself with those skills. Absolutely. And yes, when you're a therapist, it's like you're really a guide for people to find their answers, right? And find their own healing. Nicoletta says, I think healing has also to do with healing ourselves. Yes, healing the environment and being attuned to the world. Yes, what is the name of the book? Oh, I did a review here on YouTube with our booktube section playlist on a book written by Lucy H. Pearce called Medicine Woman. Um, every time I think about this book is good and I highly recommend it for everyone, but it is a heavy book. It is a challenging book. It doesn't leave you feeling good by any stretch of the imagination. And although she does talk about different healing practices for ourselves, she definitely talks about the state of healing and medicine in the world, and it's just depressing as hell. However, one of the things that she talks about, and other books talk about this too, is that to the extent that the planet is challenged, ill, polluted, is a reflection of the internal, right? The macro and the micro reflect each other. And so as we poison our waters and we're poisoning our airs and our food source is constantly contaminated with pesticides and everything, our health will continue to mirror and parallel the health of the planet. And so, yes, you have more people with nervous system issues. Yes, you have more people in the world with digestive system issues. We have a harder time. We're living longer. We know more, but we're also dealing with deeply, deeply powerful and debilitating stressors from our environment because our environment is also sick. Right. And so it's that same kind of theory when you resonate energetically, when you have a massive group of people meditating on peace, the rest of the world will begin to resonate along with that. But the same happens the other way. If the earth is sick, if Mother Earth is sick and depleted and polluted, we're going to resonate in that direction as well. So we have all sorts of different energy streams pulling us in one way or another. And this is why it's always so important to be keen on. There is so much going on that's unseen, but is affecting us physically in real time, all the time. Awakened Grace, yes, you did make a live chat. Welcome. What did Jennifer Hale say? Okay, yeah. So Jamie says, agreed, Jennifer Hale, same over here, guiding others. Why do I struggle? Then fixing or healing. Yeah. We have on our, nobody really wanted to talk about it, which is interesting. On our free forum, which is called The Witches Gathering over on thewitchesbox.com, we have a bunch of different forums that are individually like private for the box, for the book subscription, for the Moon Ritual Coven, but we also have one that's free for everybody. You just have to log in and it's called The Witches Gathering. And in there I started, what did I start? I started a thread on healing protocols. Like, what are your healing protocols? And that was inspired and started because maybe it was a year ago. I want to say that it was last fall. I can't believe I've been here this long. So yes, since last fall, I did a book review on the Fire Cider book, on all things Fire Cider. It's a great book. I highly recommend it. Every witch needs to have that Fire Cider book in their kitchen library because it talked a lot about what fire cider is and different ways to make fire cider. And I was inspired because I've been making fire cider for forever. And so I started this thread over on our forum with this is what my fire cider looks like. This is what I put in it. This is how I do it. But also, let's keep talking about the things that we do to keep our bodies healthy and to nourish our bodies. And none of these things are about negating Western medicine, because I think that there is a place for Western medicine and it has served us very well. But as witches who are connected to botanicals, who are connected to spirit, who are connected to the energy streams of the planet, who are connected to each other and connected to Mother Earth, there are many, many things that we can continue to do on our own that support our immune system, that support our health and our healing. I think that using all of those things is incredibly helpful, both Western and Eastern medicine as well. So I started this thread and I wrote a couple of different things down because my health protocols will change depending on the season, depending on what's going on with my body. And I think maybe one or two people shared as well, but it's not something that I'm seeing in the online witchcraft space the way I have seen it all of my witchcraft life in my personal circles. In my circles, I have got some amazing healers who are like drinking down some concoctions in the morning and the afternoon at night. Like there is an ample witches apothecary in each of their kitchens because they are constantly mending and healing and nourishing in very specific but also old ways. So I would love to even restart that conversation over on the forum, because I think that we can learn from each other in terms of the different things that we do to support ourselves in that way. And the healing is all of it, right? The healing can be herbs, the healing can be massage, the healing can be, walking barefoot on Mother Earth. The healing can be exercise, the healing can be meditation and different spell works. There's so many different things that we can do, right, to support our thriving health in our bodies and regeneration. Okay, hold on. Where are my glasses? Catherine says, I'm a complementary healthcare practitioner and I love how the therapies I give help improve the health and well-being holistically. Beautiful. Yes, 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 yes. I was a body worker for, I think 11, almost 12 years. And the power of touch, the power of circulation and massage in terms of muscle tissue and injury healing and regeneration. There's so much. Nervous system, immune system gets boosted through massage. So there's so much to do on the holistic end of things that we can do ourselves, that we can be empowered to do ourselves. Yeah, Kathleen, the Fire Cider book is so good. Not only is it good, you got to dig around here in YouTube on our channel for the review, because I also couldn't stop gushing about the gorgeous design. It is a work of art, but this book has so many variations of different ways to make fire cider. And then also at the end of the book, if I'm remembering correctly, at the end of the book, they talk about different ways to use fire cider in your cooking. So it's not just for the drinking, right? You do little shots during the winter or the fall. Other ways that you can incorporate your fire cider in your cooking. I loved it. It was a beautiful book. And it also talked about the history of fire cider, and it talked about the landmark case. There was a huge legal battle. I'm not even going to pretend to remember the years, but the book has like the chronological order of how it all happened. But there was a huge court case around who really owns fire cider, and no one owns fire cider. It is a healing method, a healing potion of the people. And depending on what you have available to you, what environment you live in, your ingredients for your fire cider may be a little different than mine, because I have accessibility to some things that I don't, that you might not, right? So I highly recommend everybody get the book, because at the very least, every fall and winter, having a good steeping jar of fire cider where you can take a couple of shots or a shot a day from that hot potion that you've created can do so much for preventing colds in the winter and the flu in the winter. I mean, it really helps support your immune system to battle all of these germs that are constantly flying around. So I highly recommend it. Mimsy says, in my version of healing, I'm not doing the work for them. Cookie cutter solutions don't always work. I see healing as helping others to see their own way and find their own paths. Yes. And that's part of what the holistic approach is. It's that everybody's different, but you also have to look at the whole person, and the whole person includes not just their genetics and their physical body, but their emotional well-being, their spiritual well-being, their familial issues, their generational issues. All of that gets taken. So everybody's so unique that meeting them where they're at and then also empowering them to do what they can for themselves is always the way to go. Mimsy. Okay. I think that the last name, I think it's Deborah Morningstar is one of the writers. Morningstar. Can someone look this up for me? I'm so sorry. It's a beautifully ornate book, and it's called Fire Cider, 101 recipes, I think. Gladstar? I think the last name is either Morningstar or Gladstar. It may actually be Gladstar, and she's a famous herbalist healer. So if you do a search for that, you'll find it. But we also have it here on our channel. I'm terrible lately about remembering anything at this point. So sorry about that, Mimsy. Anyway, anybody want to share about their healing protocols, or are there any other questions about witchcraft in general? For those of you who are just joining or joined a little late, we get together every Tuesday here live at 1 o'clock Pacific time, where I do an oracle reading, which we've already done. And then after the oracle reading, we just go into witchcraft Q&A, where we just talk about all things witchcraft, or as many things as I can answer. And then if you missed the oracle reading, you can catch it on the replay because we keep these. Yes, thank you. Is it Laurenberg or is it Hansen? Which one do you prefer? Laurenberg says it's Fire Cider 101 Zesty Recipes for Healthy Boosting by Rosemary Gladstar. Thank you. It's Rosemary Gladstar. Perfect. I was just checking it online. Yeah. I highly recommend it. I cannot say enough about this book. It's so good, both because of the history and the lesson in that history that healing isn't owned by anyone. Healing is this ongoing living tradition of information and wisdom. The legal case around that they talk about at the beginning of the book, I think is really important to read. So don't skip over that, because I think it speaks volumes about ownership and what kind of wisdom belongs to everyone, right? Especially in an environment in a world where we want to like slap a label on everything, claim ownership, and sell things to others when we have no business owning something that's been around and used by countless hundreds of thousands of people around the planet. I mean, I'm not even going to get into it, but you need to read that part as well. And it's not a big part of the book, but I think it's an important part of the book. And then the rest is just amazing details about what Fire Cider can do for your body, and then how to make all sorts of different types that are just delicious. So there you go. Let me see. What I miss? Paused. Oops. Angela, yeah, we were talking about Fire Cider. We were talking about healing. I believe you were here for the oracle reading, but if you missed that, you can catch it on the replay. Carolyn says, it is hard for many people to see the unseen when we're so busy. Yes, there is an art to becoming still and sensing the unseen. Absolutely. And I think that this is why our practice is so important, because the world is moving further and further and further into the noisy abyss, where it takes monumental effort to create that stillness for yourself and come into stillness and come into quiet, because it's just an onslaught 24/7. Even if you're not connected to the computer or to your phone or to social media, it's just as much a part of the unseen as the things that we love to connect to, which is the sacred and the elemental and the spirits, right? And so I think that because of that, more now than ever, the idea of having a solid daily practice where you're tapping into it, and you're not only just honing your skill to do that, but you're also giving back in this beautiful feedback loop, right? Because if we keep strengthening that, the magnetic towards that stillness, the magnetic towards that conscious connection becomes stronger. And hopefully, at the very least, those people that circle close to you, whether they're witches or not, begin to also be positively affected by that. Laurenberg is your first name. Wonderful. Okay. Found that there are several in the search. There's a lot. There are a lot of different books on Fire Cider. I really haven't. Have I read any others? I actually haven't read any others. I did a lot of reading on Fire Cider back in the day online, which wasn't that far back in the day, but it was back in the day. And I had a recipe before I was really online that someone passed on to me in my witchcraft community at the time, about almost 30 years ago. um, but then when I saw that book, I don't think I bought that book. I think someone sent that book to me. When I saw it, I read it and I just loved it because what I loved about it the most, beyond the history of the legal battle that they had to go through to keep the name or to use the name Fire Cider, and beyond all of the beautiful recipes in that book, what I really loved was that it shows the beauty of a witch's healing, which is this: you work with what's in your environment, you work with what's on your land. So my Fire Cider, I've said this already, is going to be different than yours because on my land, these are the things that are easy for me to access, and these are the things that are accessible but also um, uh, uh, effective, and how that can be different from one town to the next, from one state to the next, from one country to the next, speaks to me about the beauty of a healer to tap in to what's in their environment in a relationship, right? It's not just the same recipe over and over and over and over again, where we all have to scramble for that one herb that doesn't grow anywhere but that one place, right? You tap into, you connect, you get into a relationship with the botanicals in your environment that you have easy access to. And that speaks to me of a relationship and of deeper wisdom that isn't just the cookie cutter. The one thing to heal this is this and this and this, and that's it, right? We work through our connections to access wisdom that isn't necessarily always traditionally available. So I loved the book because of that, because you also see how different these recipes can be and how they're still all incredibly effective, but they speak to that intimate relationship with your environment and what's accessible to you. Listen, you know that when I love a book, it's a complete love affair. This was one of those books. I keep losing my glasses. I cannot wait till my cute sexy glasses are here. Hold on. Oh, yes, Carolyn, that's a great question. Carolyn says, I would love to know what healing looks to others and how witchcraft has helped. I would love for all of you to share about that as well. That's a great question. Jamie says, most mornings, rain or shine, I walk on the land we live on barefoot. Beautiful. It's honestly my most favorite time of the day. I can also engage my kids in this type of healing, all the benefits that come. Yes, that's beautiful. From connecting to the earth, it's truly amazing. I'm sorry, I'm having burpiness. So sorry. That's beautiful. That's total self-care, and it's also rewilding, reconnecting you to Mother Earth. And I find when I do that, there's such a beautiful, deeper stillness that happens. You want to ground? That's a gorgeous way to ground. Walk outside in the grass and the dirt barefoot. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Mimsy says, Carolyn, the craft has healed me. And why do girl, I gotta get it over the glasses. Okay, I'm just gonna leave them on. Mimsy says, the craft has healed me and its connection has kept me from getting lost. It's not something I can easily explain here. Yeah, a lot of times that's ineffable. There's no naming, right? It's just so much that we find it hard to give it language or name. Kathleen says, I am wondering, has anyone read the book yet? The Old Magic of Christmas by Linda Raedisch, I think is the way you say it. Kathleen, we sent out that book in our book subscription last winter. It's been over a year now. It's a beautiful, oh, I'm going to start to cry. It's such a beautiful, beautiful book. I had totally forgotten about that book. To read at this time of the year, I think is gorgeous. Get the book if you've never read the book. It's beautiful. And we actually had her join us for our live gathering when we did those books. And we did that book. And what do we pair it with? Oh, I can't remember who we paired it with. It was the Christmas, and then was it the... I don't remember who we paired that book with, but it's a gorgeous book. Beautiful, beautiful book. And it's a perfect time of the year in the Northern Hemisphere to read it. Jennifer Hale says, Witchcraft is healing to me because it empowers me and gives me sovereignty. Beautiful, yes. To really trust and depend on my own power to create my life in a fulfilling way. Gorgeous. We don't talk enough about sovereignty, but when you start to claim your sovereignty, a lot of healing can happen during that time. Beautiful. Gunhild, beautiful name. Welcome. Hi. You just came to me. I did not know that you were live today. Really cool. Boom. Well, welcome. Kathleen says it's on my reading list and I have it. Beautiful. Yeah, I highly recommend both of those books for reading in general, but also this is a perfect time of year to read them. And The Old Magic of Christmas, she did a beautiful job. I love that book because, I mean, for so many reasons. I love story and I love mythology and I love the way that our fairy tales and stories of old can still teach so much in modern day about magic and development and the human, the human existence and human soul journey. But there was a darkness to that book that I really loved because it really spoke to the deeper aspects of what winter has been and is, in a way that I just thought was so magical and so perfect. It was like one of those cozy reads. Again, I'm all about reading by the fire in PJs and just curling up with a good book. And if it's a book like that where there was an element of danger and darkness to it that lent itself to what felt to me like romantic mystery, obviously I have to go pick out that book from my library or my shelves again to check it out because it was just, I loved it that much. I'm so glad that you reminded me of the book. It's one of the sad parts of reading so much is that I really do forget. I forget what I read last year because I've gone through so many books since January that whatever happened in 2020, I don't even remember. And last year on Goodreads, I don't know if any of you are on Goodreads. It's one of the only social media platforms that I love. But on Goodreads, there's like a yearly challenge where you say, okay, this year I'm going to commit to reading this many books. And then you mark those books off as you read them on Goodreads and they track it. And then at the end of the year, they give you this great, cool graphic of all of like your reading stats and what you read. Like what was the book that had the fewest amount of pages and what was the book that had the most amount of pages? What was the genre that you read the most from? All these different fun things. If you're a book nerd, it's fun. If you're not, you're going to be like, what is this? In any case, 2020 was a year that I had at the beginning of 2020. I had huge ambitions about what I wanted to read, and I only read half of what I wanted to read last year. Although this year I think I'm back on track. But all that to say that because I read so much, it's hard for me to readily bring up those titles in my head when I'm having a conversation with people. Many of you ask me like, what do you recommend for this? And what do you recommend for that? And I know that I've read something along those lines, but the title is so hard. It's one of the reasons why I love Goodreads because your entire reading history is there. But when you bring up a title that I've read, it's like, oh, it's like a friend coming home. It's like, oh my gosh, yes, I did read that book. Anyway, I'm going to stop like blathering on about it, but get the book because it's beautiful. Boom. All right. Oh my gosh. I may have to, what time is it? I'm going to end this in 20 minutes just because I see my phone flashing at me and I think my husband is in need of assistance. Okay, so Mimsy, Carolyn, you're welcome. It's not just that I can't put into words, there's that, but it's also a big story. It's my entire life. I'm happy to share. Only YouTube comments is a limited space. It is. But again, all of you can connect with each other on our forum, the Witches Gathering, which is free. Go to thewitchesbox.com, click on the forum button in the menu. And then if you haven't logged on to our website before, it'll ask you to create a login. But if you have logged on to our website before, you just need to be logged on and then you can see it. And there's all sorts of conversations there. We've slowed down a little bit in our conversations on the forum. I think that the season is doing that, but also just I think we're all still very burnt out, but not really acknowledging or aware of how burnt out we all are in every direction. So a lot of things have slowed down, which I think is probably a good thing in a lot of ways. Okay. But I always want to encourage all of you to connect with each other on the forum. Nicoletta says, do you have any video you already recorded or book suggestions about working with a deity, specifically Aphrodite? I'm just starting to explore deities. Also, yay, Goodreads. I love Goodreads. I have never done a review on a book on Aphrodite. Is that true? That's true. But there are a couple of really good books. Oh God. I'm trying to remember a couple of really good books on Aphrodite, and I know I just saw a couple. If you do an Amazon search, there are going to be about 5 books that come up. There is one that's got a gray cover. I hope there aren't more that have a gray cover, but there's one that has a gray cover that gives you a pretty comprehensive look at Aphrodite. There are also some articles and some writing if you do a research search on Google on the correspondences and connections between Venus and Aphrodite, and also Lakshmi and Yemaya. And in other traditions like La Caridad del Cobre, like there is a stream, like a little bit of a string connecting a variety of different deities that have the same flavor, that are kind of different versions of each other. There are there's not a lot, but there are writings out there on that might be helpful to you. One of the things that I recommend for working with a deity for the first time is that you do that due diligence where you look up history. Where has Aphrodite or this deity come up in history? How was this deity worshipped or thought of in that time? What are people now in present time doing and working with this deity, and how has that changed? That change is also an important context to learn, because you want a broad understanding of the deity. And then you do the simple things that have nothing to do with the research, where you just set aside a beautiful small space. It can be huge, it doesn't have to be, where you light a candle, you sit at your altar that you've created just for this journey, and you just open and you say, I'm open to learn about you. I'm open to get to know you better, deeper, more intimately. Please guide me. Please lead the way. Please bring to me what I need to learn about you, and things will shift for you. They do. It can be that simple. It doesn't have to be. Look, I love my bells and whistles. I love elaborate rituals. I'm putting together. I haven't wanted to do this. A lot of you ask for it, and I've always been like, I'm finally putting together not a public ritual. That's not true. A ritual in real space with real people. And I love all the different steps and the different layers and the visuals and all. I've got a whole diagram of what this altar needs to look like. The complication can be beautiful when it's all of these different details, but it also doesn't need to be. It can literally be a candle and your desire, where you just reach out to the deity and say, I want you. I want to know you. Can you help me? Can you meet me? And can you bring into my life what I need to know about you? It will work. It will shift the whole world for you, and things will come your way, and you will get what you need to learn to get into connection with this deity. So all of those things. Okay. Mimsy says there's also how words in text is also limited in communication and lacks emotion in various other parts. Yes, that's true. Jamie, I have also been looking for a book about connecting. Oh, I already read that. Right? Did I already read that? I did read that. Okay, well, there you go. Laurenberg says, witchcraft is the visceral way for me to connect to everything and feel whole. That's my healing. Yes. Nicoletta. So I'm getting a message on my side. I don't know if you are all getting this message, but it says, Nicoletta, message retracted. Does that mean that you deleted it, or does that mean that YouTube censored you? Because sometimes that happens if you try to share a link. If you type something and they decide to delete it, that's totally fine. But if you type something and you did not intend to delete it, try it again in a different way to see if we can see it. Because I'm pretty sure that whatever you said was not something that needed to be censored. Okay, Pamela says, I'm new to the community, but I always felt connected to the sea and gardening. What is the best route for me to start learning about being a water witch? Oh, Pamela, holy cow. There are 3 books that just readily came to mind that I'm not going to remember. There's Water Priestess. I don't know the author, but there's a book called Water Priestess. No, there's 4 books. Okay, hold on. Okay, so you deleted it. Perfect. Okay. Write this down because you're going to have to do research. Because again, I'm not going to remember. But there's a book called Water Priestess, or it's either Water Priestess or Water Priestessing. It's supposed to be amazing. I haven't read it. It's on one of my shelves and it's in my to be read pile. The other one is Llewellyn did a series of books that we've actually turned into boxes, but it's The Elements of Witchcraft. The Water Element book, you want that. That book was written by Lilith Dorsey, and it is the most comprehensive oh my god, it is the most comprehensive. It's to say that it's a correspondence book does not do it justice, because what Lilith Dorsey did with this book, she brought in so many different correspondences with water and how to access it. And it's not just seawater, but it's also river water and lake water and rainwater. It's a book that every witch needs to have. That 4-book series is really amazing, especially if you want to work with the elements. We have had boxes that we put together around the water. That one sold out, but the water magic box, we put that book in it. We did the air magic box with the other author who did the air magic was Estrella Taylor. That was amazing. We still have a couple of those left. We're just about to do the last one that's going to get published in November, and it'll be our December box. So this is a huge spoiler. It'll be the earth element box for that book. So anyway, all that to say is that water book I would get for sure. Also the Water Priestessing, but then there's another one, and it's not Water Priestessing. It's another book about water magic, and if I'm not mistaken, I actually even think it's the same author as the Water Priestess. And Lucy H. Pearce just dropped a book on it's called, it's either She of the Sea or Sea of She. I don't know. It's some version of that. But if you look up Lucy H. Pearce, the book will come up. This book is getting rave reviews. I have seen excerpts of this book. It is amazing. It is, I'm getting chills, because anything at this point that Lucy H. Pearce does is like high level, next level for me, because I've read 3 of her books and now it's like I can't stop. I've got all of her books, and that's one of them that I want to read. So those are some recommendations for reading and working with the sea. In terms of gardening, or working with water. In terms of gardening, you know what I would recommend for you, in terms of gardening in a really beautiful way? This book doesn't specifically walk you through how to garden, but it speaks so beautifully of the intimate relationship with nature and the environment. It's Braided Sweetgrass. I really don't like myself for not remembering the name of this author, because she did a spectacular job. It is such a beautiful, beautiful book. And she's Native American, and she speaks to a lot of the Native American practices and being in relationship with the environment, but she also talks about her journey on her land, and how one of the things that I loved is that there was a pond on this land that she bought, and it was a very unwell pond. There are ways to keep bodies of water healthy, and so she talked about her process in bringing it back to life, right? So that it's a teeming, beautiful ecosystem. The book is beautiful. And so it's not going to teach you anything about gardening, but it's a book that came to mind because if that's where your heart is, this book will speak to the heart. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. Oh, wonderful, Nicoletta. You're going to set up an altar. Yeah. And take your time. Working with a deity and the research and the discovery can take years if you want it to, right? Because it's a relationship, and relationships over time develop and deepen and intertwine. So let it ride with you. Okay. Yes, there's also, thank you, Lauren Berg. We just did this, the 4 Elements of the Wise. We also sent out that book that speaks about water in a really amazing way. It's a great book, and it's by Ivo Dominguez Jr. I also recommend that. Hey, Project Refine Life, welcome. You made it. Wonderful. Wida, I think you say it Wida, yeah? Is there a book that explains that there is more than just God of this universe? Oh, hell yeah, there is. Yes, there are. But what are they? So I don't know if you were here when we were talking about Aphrodite. There are quite a lot of books out there that talk about different deities, different perspectives. Um, I don't know what to really guide you towards right now because there are a ton on Hecate. So there are a ton of books that specifically focus on other deities. That's not just God of the universe. But I should put together some sort of something like a list, because there are the books that I've read have spoken specifically about what the patriarchal paradigm of one singular God has done in terms of damaging society. And that worshiping, for instance, most of the books that I've read have been about working with different goddesses and working with the goddess as a different paradigm for spirituality and connection to the divine. Those books tend to talk about the damage that's been done because we have this patriarchal singular father god, and all of the dysfunction around the writings around that religion or those religions and how it's trickled down. And then they take a lot of anthropological information in terms of how other societies have worshipped other deities, and societies that have worshipped many deities, and what the psychological difference is between those two types of culture. But also that the idea is that if you are polytheistic, or people who are polytheistic who believe in many, there tends to be an understanding that where the divine is one and the divine is everything, you, me, nature, deities, all of it. When you work with different deities, what you're doing is working very specifically with very different aspects of the divine. So there isn't this one singular on high being that is the end all be all. We're all it. But when you work with deities, they are a very refined and empowered and sovereign example of a particular aspect of the divine, right? So examples: Aphrodite is love and beauty and healing. Lakshmi is beauty and value and wealth and health. Kali is the regenerative, destructive force of the universe, right? They're all very different slivers of the entirety of existence. So I'm not even answering your question because I'm thinking of all these books that I've read and they're so old. I don't remember the names of them, but at some point maybe I'm going to, where's a pen? Try to make a list somewhere where I can maybe do lists of particular groups of books on particular topics to investigate. So like book bundle recommendations, yeah? Bundle recommendations. Okay. Like that. Okay, hold on. Let me see. I may have missed a lot. Okay, so Jamie says She of the Sea is such a great book. It has so many methods of healing regarding water and gave me a different perspective. So good. Good. I'm glad. I'm excited. I'm having a little bit of a fantasy where I can't do it this weekend, but maybe in the next couple of weekends. And my husband's going to be leaving town for a while, which is sad and exciting because that means that what I can do, this is you want to hear a little insight into Elena's fantasy life? My fantasy life is this: if he's leaving, he's going to be gone for a couple of weeks and I'm going to be alone. I can completely like take everything off of the dining room table. I won't eat on the dining room table, but what I want to do is I want to spread out all of the books that I want to read and just have them right in front of me on the table. I also need to put a little bit of a side section of the table aside because I'm writing finally the proposal to my book. Yay! And that is going to take over a section of the dining room table. But my fantasy life is that the books that I really want to read need to be all on there. And when he's gone, because I have more time, I want to go through all the other Lucy H. Pearce books that I haven't read and just like dive in. So like that. So thank you for saying that the book was good, because I keep hearing the book is phenomenal. Espérate. Hold on. Yes, December box. Oh, so glad I subscribed. Yes, good. Welcome to the subscription. Wonderful. Yes, Braiding Sweetgrass is beautiful. It's such a beautiful book, right? It was it was just such a, I don't know, I can't explain it. It was a beautiful book. What about the Fire book? That was in, yes, it was. Okay, wait. The Fire book was also a book that we sent out with our box. We sold out of those, but those are out there. And if you are interested in Fire, get that book. Absolutely. That was by Josephine Winter. Wait, am I mixing up my people? No, it was. And yes, that's another great recommendation, Mimsy. The book Lemon and Rosemary, The Scent of Lemon and Rosemary. Oh, what's her name? I don't remember her name. I don't remember the author's name. I'm so sorry. But that book was beautiful, and it was very much what I feel was a witchcraft home economics class, but in all its beautiful, magical ways of the witch. It's a beautiful book, and it's also a great book to read for this time of year. And here's another super big spoiler. We're going to be talking about this as a lead up to the December books, because the November books, I think I may have already done a spoiler to the November books. The November books are freaking amazing. However, the December books are going to be fun because the author, this is a huge spoiler because I don't do 2 months in advance, although I just did it for the December Earth box. But the author of The Scent of Lemon and Rosemary also wrote a book on sewing as a witch and crafting. We're going to have, don't buy it, because we're going to have that bundled with another one. And what I want to do is for our lives to get together and talk about magic while we sew and knit and do fun things together because it's winter. I'm so excited. Okay, so that is a big spoiler. All right. What do you recommend for implementing a daily practice? Ashley, great question. So I think a daily practice is essential. I know that to do something every day feels like it's daunting, but especially in the day and age that we are in now, where reactivity and noise and a constant drain of our nervous system is like an ongoing thing, and it's real and it's damaging. At the very least, if you have a super duper busy life, if you just, you've got 1,000 kids, you've got 3 different jobs, like you, right? And that's not necessarily a far-fetched reality. A lot of us have a lot going on. And you don't have time for the hour-long meditation, the hour-long ritual every day, then my recommendation is that at the very least, set aside 15 minutes to meditate, where you're breathing and you're focusing on your breath. And every time a distraction comes through, you acknowledge it and then you let it go and you keep breathing. It sounds super boring. It sounds super like not romantic and witchy. It is probably the most powerful ritual and daily practice that you could ever have, because it creates so much stillness in you and so much space. This is such a critical thing. I've been writing a lot about this. It creates space within you between the external stimulus and the way you respond or react. And the difference between reacting and responding is unconscious, driven by past wounds, and super conscious, where you are empowered to make very specific, intelligent, and informed choices about how you're going to respond to whatever is coming at you. That space is the difference between being a very powerful witch and being a very dangerous witch, when you just don't know what you're doing and you're just trying to do stuff and you're just kind of willy-nilly shooting things out in the ethers. I'm telling you, it is the most powerful practice you can do. 5, 10, 15 minutes. If you can do an hour, do an hour. But if you don't, even if it's a little bit of time like that, that is super powerful. The other thing that you can do is, on a daily basis, light a candle of gratitude. Be grateful. And that also amplifies the flow of abundance in your life. So light it 5, 10, 15 minutes in the morning, at night, and go through the things that you loved, that were pleasurable, that were beautiful, that you're grateful for in your day. And the smaller the thing, the better. So yes, it's great to say, I'm so grateful that I have a home and I have a roof over my head. That's wonderful. But what I really encourage everyone to do who wants to do a gratitude practice is to focus on the small things, the super mundane things. When I walked out of my house this morning, the wind felt so good on my face. I'm so grateful. Those are the things that will start to really shift your energetic signature and get you into alignment with the amplification of all of those things that you're grateful for and more. It is one of the key secrets to abundance and more money, period. But don't just do it for that, because what you're going to experience is an opening and a greater amount of joy and a greater amount of connection. It's a beautiful practice. So those are super simple. They're not complicated, but it keeps you touching into the divine. It keeps you touching into the sacred. It keeps you touching into yourself. And that is an immeasurable amount of healing that cannot be quantified. So those two things. Then there are other things, right? If you want to go bigger, right? More bells and whistles. We've got the new moon, we've got the full moon, we've got the dark moon. Those are instances throughout the month where you can do bigger rituals that are more transformative for you, that are a little bit more elaborate. And that is just as equally important of a practice as a daily practice. So I'm going to stop here. But in terms of the implementation, pick a time that you're going to be doing the same thing every day. So the wake up, when you wake up, take a minute, go hide somewhere if you have someone in bed with you, or if they're going to be sound sleepers. Sometimes I've woken up and just crossed my legs in bed right where I woke up, even though John is next to me sleeping or snoring, and I'll do my meditation and then I'll get up and do my thing. But do it, like, tie it to something else. It's called stacking. Who is it that wrote this book, Atomic Habits, where you stack a new habit onto an old, already established habit in order to implement that habit going forward. So if you're always going to wake up in the morning, if you attach it to the wake up, you do a meditation and then you get out of bed and you go. Or if before you go to bed, you always sit at the side of your bed to pray or to do something, you can attach it there, right? So you want to attach it to something that you do regularly. That's almost an unconscious rote that you do. You have a higher chance of establishing that as a well structured and rooted new habit because you've attached it to an old one. So I hope that helps. I feel like I rambled a little bit. Yes, Kay, love Sweetgrass. It's beautiful. Margaret, The Witch's Path by Thorne Mooney is good for daily practice ideas. Oh, great. I haven't read that book, but I hear good things about it. So that's beautiful. Thank you for the recommendation. Jamie says Entering Hekate's Garden is a great one as well. Oh, Jamie, yes, that is such a good book. You know that we love us some Cindy Brannon around here. That was a beautiful book. Beautiful book. All these great recommendations. I love it. Pamela says, thank you. That week helped me connect with my Native American heritage. That week. I don't know what that is, that week. But I'm glad. Michelle says, agree. Good book. I lost Michelle. Wait. Something happened and my chat kind of skipped and did some crazy things. So let me scroll back. Michelle, where are you? I read that. The Witches, yes. Oh, here. Agree, good book. I have that one too, Jamie. Okay. Mimsy says, yes, getting the Witches box subscription is amazing. Wonderful. Thank you. And the book subscription too, it's definitely keeping me connected and learning more. Definitely better than on my own. Yeah, they can be really great supports, especially when you're solo practitioners. It's, it can be hard being alone. Crystal says, I know there's not really any rules, but are there guidelines at least about mixing pantheons or not when it comes to deity work study? There are some rules. And I don't quite know what all of them are. These are some of the more human sourced rules, right? So let me make sure that I read your question. So the external rules about mixing pantheons are obviously if the pantheon that you want to work with is of a closed tradition that you don't belong to, you might want to tread lightly in terms of how you approach those deities and who you approach to help mentor you in having a relationship with that deity. So, as an example, if you are really drawn to Yemaya, and Yemaya is part of the Yoruban African diaspora tradition, one of the many, but also she's very heavily venerated in Brazil and in the Caribbean because of the mixture of the African religion with the Catholicism in those countries. I mean, there's a massive amalgamation. However, it is still a closed tradition. There are rules about whether you take one on as your patron saint or not and how you would do that. And to understand what those rules are, you would talk to someone who is of that tradition. Okay, so there's that. The other thing is that there are people who say that some deities just will not work with other deities and they don't want to be associated with each other. I've never had that experience. I have heard of that experience, and the only thing I could say to you is to ask the actual deity and say, I'm working with so and so, and I also want to work with you. Is there a problem? Is there a way to make that work? If there is some sort of clash of energy, then my question to you would be, why are you drawn to both of these specifically, and do you need to be working with both at the same time? So that's it. Other than that, I would I'm trying to think of who you can ask or where you can go for a little bit more detail, because the way I've tended to work, I have a hard time focusing on more than one thing at once. So whenever I've worked with deity, it's always been one at a time, with the exception lately of the work that I'm doing in my other lineage. And I'm working with two at the moment, but even then I asked someone of that lineage to say, is it okay to do, like, who is it okay for me to pair in this particular working? And then I got wisdom and information and teaching around that. So ask people and teachers who are in that tradition of that pantheon to see what works and what doesn't. I hope that's helpful. I don't know that I helped you a whole lot. Hey Layla, welcome. Oh, I really want to read your book, so all the best of luck with it. Thank you. It's getting closer. Hubster has to share the bed with books. I know, right? Jacqueline Brown says, oh, that sounds wonderful. Yes. Crystal says, scent of lemon and rosemary. Rachel Henderson, thank you. Yes. And we're hoping that both authors can join us. We haven't actually asked the authors yet. I scan and am an avid highlighter. The lemon book, Henderson, yes. Yeah, I highlight, I write notes, I underline, it's a whole thing. Margaret says, and protect that stillness time. Yes, protect that. Boundaries are so important, especially when you have a house full of family. It's one of the reasons why I love, and I mean, it's just John and I, so it's not like we have a noisy, busy household, but I need quiet and I need silence. And our mornings tend to be pretty quiet. Anyway, we're quiet people, but I love to get up way before him, because that hour or two when the whole world's still sleeping, like I'll get up at 4:30 or 5, he's still sleeping, the whole world's still sleeping, it's still dark out. There is something so important and easier to protect the quiet time when everybody else is already asleep, right? So that quiet time for me can be really, really juicy and beautiful, and it helps. It just kind of lends itself over to, this is when I want to practice, because it's just that feeling. Everything is so still and calm, and it's the exact thing that I'm going for in my practice. So protecting it is super important. Boundaries are important, especially when you can't get up that early and you have to do it at a time when everyone's awake. Everyone needs to know, when I'm doing this, let the world burn to the ground. Don't disturb me. I'll be out in 10 minutes. I'll be out in 15 minutes. Don't knock on the door. Don't call me. Don't blah, blah, blah. Like, you got to tell people, because everyone needs everybody. And kids especially want mom, the pet, the cat can't deal with the door closed. Like, boundaries are important. And sometimes with pets, you just need to let them in because they don't get it. It's not even, I think, actually, it's not that they don't get it. They do get it, and they want to be there with you. So letting them in is, I think, saves you a lot of trauma because they'll just keep scratching at the door. Don't be like me and let people steamroll you from doing that and then end up burning out. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Boundaries. Mara, welcome, Mara. Missed most of this. Have to go back later. Homeschooling my kids due to level 3 lockdown, so missing everything at the moment. Sounds like a topic I need to go back to. Hey, you all. Well, welcome, Mara. Yeah, it's on the replay, so you can catch it. We have been talking about books and healing and all sorts of things. I haven't gotten. Ooh, why does it keep jumping? Hold on. Here we go. I haven't gotten October books yet. You haven't gotten October books yet, Michelle. Michelle, please email Elliot at info@thewitchesbox.com about your October books, because yeah, you should have gotten those. Those went out almost a month ago. That is not a good story, my friend. Please email him at info@thewitchesbox.com, because we can track that down for you and figure out what to do. I'm really sorry about that. On point, it's a daily deal way of life, creating a personal routine. Yes. Mimsy says, Mara, you are where you are. Don't feel bad. Easier to go with the flow than struggle to be more, do more. Just be you and forgive yourself. You're doing the best you can do with what you have. Yeah, beautiful. Project Refine Life says, my minimum is a daily smudging. Yes, I did say smudging. To clear, call in, and protect my energy. A small meditation, and I pull my cards. Beautiful. Yes, please, everyone. Okay, wait. I'm going to encourage anyone who hasn't shared what their daily practice is to share, but also know that I need to get off. I'm already past 2:00, but I'm going to stick around for another 10 minutes, and then I got to close it out. It's easy to lose track of time. October books. October books are from Christopher Penchak. Yes, The Witch's Shield and The Witch's Coin. Sweetgrass book will help me connect to my. Oh yes. Oh girl, I'm so sorry I missed that. Yes, it will help you connect. It's such a beautiful book. In fact, I feel like, well, I let my neighbor borrow that book, and now I think I need to go over there and get it back. That's what I need to do. Mara says, when I work with deities, it's always one at a time, even when I have multiple. Yeah, so far I haven't had issues either. Yeah, like I said, I tend to do that as well, just because for me, I really like to go deep, and managing multiple relationships doesn't work. Like the joke around with my friends is like, I've never been like, I'm down with, if you want to have a polyamorous relationship or an open relationship, rock on. However, I can barely manage focusing on the one person I've got in my life. Do you know what I mean? And it's the same thing with deities. Like I can barely, it's work. You know what I'm saying? So with deities, it's the same way. This is the first, is this the first time I'm doing a practice right now? I have a 40-day practice commitment, and I'm working with 2, but they're complementary. And again, as I said, I asked my teacher, like, does this work? And the recommendation was, yes, do this work with both of them because they're complementary. But again, ask a teacher if you're working with a specific pantheon. After Hubster leaves for work and before the noisy neighbors get going, early morning peace. Yes. Abby says, for the highlighters and underliners in the book community, PSA, you can buy transparent sticky notepads. Shut up. Abby, is that a true story? Am I being really loud? Sorry. I'm gonna write that down. I had no idea. Transparent sticky notes. That is kind of magic right there. Yeah, all of my books have notes and writing and underlining all over them, and I've been shamed for that, but I don't care. I don't shame very easily. It's like I have to interact with my book. I have to write it down. It's what makes audiobooks really hard for me still. Even though I do listen to audiobooks more and more just because I want to get as much reading in as I can. But this whole sticky note thing sounds kind of exciting. Thank you for that heads up. Summer Smith says, I'm waiting on my 2022 calendar. Those started to mail out on the 11th, which was last Monday. But also, depending on where you are, Summer, they went out media mail, and they take a little longer. So you should have gotten an email with a tracking number where you can track where your calendar is. If you did not get that number, please email Elliot at info@thewitchesbox.com to find out what's going on with your calendar. They're beautiful. I'm so excited. They're so beautiful. I want to see. These are the calendars. Oops. I'm just so excited. This one's a little bent, but I'm going to put it in my frame. So the bending of the corner is no big deal, but they're gorgeous. They're super gorgeous, thick cardstock, and that's the calendar. And anyway, Summer, please definitely reach out to Elliot so that you can get yours because I want you to have them. They're beautiful. Great idea, Abby. Always right. And Elizabeth. Love the murder of crows tarot. Oh, good. Isn't it beautiful? Oh, I love that deck. It's a gorgeous deck. That went out with our Morrigan box. That was October box. That box sold out in 5 seconds. I don't even know. In seconds. The mystery boxes have been going out, are going to go out, I think, tomorrow, the last of the mystery boxes. Here's a secret. I hate to create this kind of chaos, but we are packing the last of the mystery boxes, and I put 100 on sale. I just put 100 on sale because that's as much as I can manage in terms of making 100 boxes between books and the box. It's a lot to deal with, so we keep the number low. But we actually have way more stuff than the 100 boxes will allow, and it's very likely that tomorrow I'm going to very secretively just add a couple of extra boxes in that inventory. If you were on the waiting list because you did not get this year's mystery box, just be on the lookout because it won't be that many. I may make 5 more, and hopefully maybe I can make 10 more. But the only announcement for that will be to the people who are on the waiting list. They will get a notification that, hey, there's a couple extra ones in inventory, and then you can grab that. So there's a little insight information for you. That might happen like Thursday, potentially Friday, because we're almost done packaging those boxes, and I still have quite a lot of goodies left. So there's that. I need transparent sticky notes in my life, right? That sounds like the best thing on the planet. Nicoletta says, I daily light a tea light candle, color and scent based. Oh, beautiful. On what I want and need for the day. I keep the candle on my desk while I work remotely. Perfect. This is the beauty of working remotely. I have a massive altar on my desk. Where can you do that? You can't do that at work. And it helps me start the day in the best way. Beautiful. Okay. All my books have massive post-it notes, and my audiobooks have notes too. I don't do you do notes for your audiobooks like in a notebook, or are you doing it on your electronic device with the audiobook? Is that a thing? It's a hard one for me. Like I'm no longer the snob that I used to be when it comes to audiobooks because oh my God, it's the only way that I can get as many books in, right? When you're driving. I mean, we're on a hill, so anytime I have to go off the hill one side or the other, it's still at least an hour. And then I can listen, which is great. But I don't have a way to take notes because I'm driving. And oftentimes what will happen is if I'm stopped at a red light, I'll take my phone and I'll text myself a note that then gets lost in the sea of texting that I've sent myself. So really quickly, if there is an electronic way to take notes, Mimsy, let me know. Beyond that, I am going to close this beautiful thing out in the next 2 minutes. So if you've never joined us before, but you're here for the first time, welcome. We get together live every Tuesday, and I'll do an oracle reading for the week. And then we hang out and we talk about witchcraft like we've been doing. So I will be here again next Tuesday at 1 o'clock Pacific time. And thank you for joining us, and thank you for participating and the questions and always the amazing conversation. I love it. I love it. Okay, really quick, one last comment has come through. My daily routine is my wake up magical routine. Sounds mundane, but no matter how crappy I wake up, like it is the one thing that sets my mood. If I don't do it, everything tends to go to a slump. Oh, beautiful. But wait, what is it? Did you already share? Because now I can't keep track of who's shared what their morning routine is. You did, didn't you? I think you did. That's beautiful. Mimsy says, in the Kindle, yes, audiobook have a bookmark and notes section. Shut up. I'm learning all these great things today. I didn't know that. See, this is the thing though, but I haven't listened to an audiobook on my Kindle. I listen to them on my phone. But that can change. All right. I love you all. Thank you so much for hanging out. Again, next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. I don't really have any other announcements other than the ones that I gave. And that's it. Have a wonderful week. Know that on Friday Friday, this is the announcement, on Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, the live guided meditation ritual will be happening here as well. I'll be there doing that with you. So come join us. That's always a beautiful way to end the week. And I think that that's it. All right, my loves, take care of yourselves. Take care of yourselves, and happy ritualing in the morning. Tomorrow is a full moon in Aries, so get your ritual on. Those of you who are part of the Moon Ritual Coven, the rituals for the full moon have already gone live. So if you go on to the website, you can find your rituals there. And that's it. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Mwah. Love you. Bye. Oops.